Hey cats, it's Ed Catwalk Bud here. Today I've got a bumper running gear roundup for you with some products from TRIBE Sports, Nike Gyakusou and Puma. Lots to get through, so let's get straight to it. A three-way running gear review for you today guys. Lots of apparatus to explore, so let's not rest on our laurels. If you're enjoying the videos here at Eddbud Running Shoe Reviews, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and also click the bell below for notifications of when we launch those new videos for you. It's free, you know. You don't have to pay to subscribe. It also helps the channel out a huge amount if you give this video a thumbs up like, but also share it with your running buddies. Merci beaucoup. First up, some fun facilitating clothing from TRIBE Sports. A little while back, the kind fellows at TRIBE Sports fired me over some of their clothing out of a cannon. They didn't really. I've been using the Endure line from TRIBE, which is made from recycled ocean and industrial plastics, which they can reuse again and again apparently. So I think if your shirt just begins to look a little worn, they can reuse it once again. How great is that? The status quo can be maintained using this material, which is mixed in with some elastane to give a little bit of flexibility. And it's quite a nice stretchy fit actually. I really do like this shirt a lot. It's just a little bit warmer than some of the other t-shirts that I've got, and that's good because things are starting to get cooler. And I'm a man with very little body fat whatsoever. Just imagine a stick man basically. That's me. People used to take the mick out of me about that, but I am what I am. There we go. Be happy with who you are, guys. The special etched holes in the back there do provide some excellent breathability. And most importantly, it doesn't pile up like some shirts do when they get very wet. They sort of stick to your body. It's very uncomfortable. No chance of that in moist conditions with the TRIBE Endure shirt. That leads me seamlessly into the fact that there are no seams on this one. They use some sort of bonding process to put it all together, and that removes any possible rubbing or chafing. We've all experienced a bit of that before, haven't we? Vent holes are well placed there. Really does seem to work quite well for me in terms of my size. I've got a medium here. I'm about 6'2" or 6'3", although my vision of what is tall has changed now since I met Andy the Fod Runner. These wash really well, which isn't always the case with some running products, as I'm sure you will have experienced in the past. In fact, Miss Eddbud's always complaining to me about how my running stuff just smells no matter what. That's why I wear cologne all the time. Again, on an environmental tip, we have the Endure shorts. These are made from recycled plastic bottles. I don't know whether it's industrial plastics as well, maybe just standard plastic bottles this time around. The yarn is again mixed with some elastane for a forgiving fit with a little bit of stretch, so it doesn't sort of hinder your hip movement whatsoever. One winning feature on these shorts is the zip. It's a really decent quality one as well that doesn't get caught up. There's nothing worse than putting your keys and items into your pocket there and then the zip just getting caught. It's really irritating. Doesn't happen here. There's very few shorts that are as light feeling as my Nike Aeroswift half tights. They're my favourite. These come close though. There's a mesh inner brief. You know why. I found these fit true to size again in a medium. Some shorts just look too short on me because of my long legs, but these just seem spot on for purpose. You can grab the Endure tee and shorts for $48 each, but if you use the code EDD20, so that's EDD20, you can get 20% off until the end of October. Head over to the TRIBE Sports site to check that out. There's a link in the description. You can test out these technical treasures of the recycled variety. I can see these coming in handy as the temperatures start to drop. I like to wear normal shorts if I can, as long as I can, but we are heading towards winter. I think that t-shirt's going to come in really handy. Moving on, a bit of an initial review of the Nike Gyakusou Next Percent. I felt like Ed bargain bud picking these up. There was some weird discount on them for a little while, only for a couple of days. I think they'd reduce them to about £130 on the Nike website, down from $269, which is insane. This is really a Vaporfly Next Percent 1.5 really, and looking at the actual manufacture date of these shoes, they were supposed to come out some time ago. Very, very odd that they delayed them for so long. There are some interesting design choices going on here, so let's dive in. This is the Midnight Spruce version of the shoe. There is a red coloured one as well. You also get some burgundy hits on the outsole and the upper. Very similar in fact to the Gyakusou 4% that I really love. Those extra design hits though do bring a little bit of extra weight to the shoe. The Next Percent in my size was 225 grams. This one is 267 grams. So there's a good 1.5 ounces extra weight here. Is it worth it? I think that could be make or break for some runners, really, if you're going for a race type shoe, but it's that bit heavier. Me though, I've picked these up really for a bargain training shoe. ZoomX midsole and a carbon plate for £121, because I managed to use a discount code as well. I don't think you can moan too much. We'll start with the upper first. It does have the same unique smell as the Gyakusou 4% did, and still has, bizarrely. So drastic change here in the upper with lace loops rather than standard eyelets, and there's a number of overlays here that have been added to the shoe. Most importantly actually around the toe box here, which does actually make the shoe feel a little roomier. I felt the Next Percent in a size 11 UK was a little bit snug. This doesn't have that problem, just gives the toe box a little bit of upper depth, I suppose. The medial side here has a further wrap which really does cling around the foot once you cinch up the laces. It just amplifies that fit, which is really quite nice. There's some seriously chunky laces that come with this shoe though, guys. There really is. As you pull them through the eyelets, it almost feels like it's grinding down the upper material. They're that thick. I did experiment possibly switching them out, but it didn't really seem to have the same feel. So I put the originals back in. Jobs are good. It almost sort of ruined the aesthetic of the shoe putting some other laces in here. Just think it works best with those thicker ones. That burgundy paint that they've put onto the tongue here does make the tongue feel a little bit thicker. A couple of the overlays actually on this shoe remind me a little bit of a trail offering, similar perhaps to what you'd see on a Solomon shoe, for example. And I can't help but think of autumn and winter whenever I stare at this beautiful shoe. It is kind of one of those shoes you take out the box and once you get it in hand you actually like it that little bit better. It grows on you like some sort of shoe tree. For autumn and winter, I think it really hits the spot. Let me know in the comments if it gives you that sort of vibe, guys. Vapor Weave forms the base of the Gyakusou Next Percent upper, but that midfoot wrap there, for all its fit improving properties, does unfortunately add quite a bit of extra weight. Again, as per the Gyakusou 4% I reviewed pretty much when I started the channel years ago, this is a very careful iteration of Nike's Vaporfly line. I think with more and more runners wearing the Next Percent on a daily basis, it gives a more trainer vibe to me, this shoe, rather than a race shoe. Certainly it was a race shoe only when the Next Percent released, but people are wearing them all the time now. I'm not going to score this shoe today, guys. I'm just sort of giving you an initial look. You know what the Next Percent's all about. Midsole now. So midsole, it's ZoomX, but it's painted, so it does feel a little bit different. The paint seems to be relatively thick as well. None of it's been coming off, which is always a good sign. It feels like you would expect a Next Percent midsole to feel. Not entirely sure I felt that it was any heavier on foot when I started running. I ran at some blistering paces for me in this shoe. It just really seemed to work for me. Over time, I imagine some of the paint might chip off a little bit and look a little worn, but I kind of think that'll suit the aesthetic of this shoe. A few scuffs here and there. You know, it looks a bit more like an urban type shoe, but you could take it out and run through a forest, although I wouldn't advise it really. It's not the most stable of shoes. I think if you're fearing like the paint's going to chip off and that's a big worry to you, then don't buy this shoe. It's going to happen, so you're only going to get upset. I could say that I feel major differences between the midsole here on the Gyakusou Next Percent and the original Next Percent. I think the differences I felt though were perhaps down to that midfoot lock. I think the upper's doing a better job of locking your foot down on top of the midsole. It really does feel more like a Next Percent 1.5 rather than a Next Percent 2 or an original. You've just got a more sort of strapped in seat belt here. Outsole now. So the outsole features that same matching spruce colour that appears on the upper, with that foamy rubber here in the forefoot and those burgundy hits in the rear of the shoe. Will the paint start to rub off on this version of the shoe? Well, almost certainly at some point. It's happened on every other pair that I've had so far. Any colouring or anything that's on the outsole tends to wear off over time. I think you've got to know what you're letting yourself in for if you go for the Next Percent. That exposed midsole foam here will crinkle and crease. It sort of crumples a bit like a crumpet, I suppose. It's just par for the course, so again, don't get upset about it. Just use the thing and enjoy it. I think at the retail price, it's just completely insane, isn't it? 269 Earth credits here in the UK. I mean, they're having a laugh, but yeah, picking it up for 121 like I did, that's just dreamland stuff. Especially considering how much I like the Gyakusou 4%. So now I've got this one in the collection too. £269 is just, quite frankly, ridiculous, isn't it? I don't think many people would pay that for this shoe, considering it's a lot heavier than a standard Next Percent, and of course they're prone to quick destruction as well. At 121 Earth credits, it's a different story, isn't it? A weight perhaps a little closer to the Endorphin Speed 2, a top Zoom X shoe I can use for training over the course of the winter, and I don't have to worry too much if it gets all dirty. I mean, if it gets damaged, I can just remember how much I paid for it, same as the Mach 4, the Vomero 16, and the Nova Blast 2. And that says it all, doesn't it? I'll give you some more updates on this shoe over the coming months as I get a few more miles ground into it. What do you make of this one, guys? Does it tickle your fancy, or is it a nay? Let me know in the comments. Last up is this awesome running jacket that Puma sent over for me to test out. This is the Woven Ultra jacket and features Puma's dry cell moisture wicking material. It's super light, guys. As quite a light runner, I don't like being weighed down by some ridiculously overbearing sort of clothing. When you get out there and some sort of boil in the bag offering it, really doesn't inspire. What I love about it is it's got the same design as the Deviate Nitro Elite SP and the Magnify Nitro too. I found it ideal in wet conditions with the more fitting sleeves. They're just the ideal length for me in a medium size. But it also has the bonus of 2 different sized pockets on either side of the front of the jacket. The left pocket is slightly larger than the first, ideal for some gels or some other gear, and the right one is an ideal size for your mobile phone, as there's a little less room in there for it to move around. There are some reflective sections on the jacket itself, so if you're running in low light conditions, could help you out a little bit. One of those reflective sections is this awesome Beast insignia. That's the Puma logo, but I pretend it's Beast. Really well ventilated at the back of the jacket as well with those flaps. I found that using it over the top of a running vest is absolutely ideal, and of course you can reach those items straight away, and the zips are half decent as well. I think if this one's clean and dry, I've just been grabbing it straight away. Certainly early mornings when it's a bit more chilly. As I said, the styling fits in with one of my favourite shoes of the year at the moment, the Deviate Nitro Elite. Just one of the most aesthetically pleasing shoes of the year, and this jacket's just got all the same stylings. That Spectra graphic all over the arm sleeves really does it for me. Running jackets are really expensive sometimes. You can get some ridiculous waterproof ones at, £200-300. I'm not sure I want to go all that way. The weather's so changeable in the UK, I just like something that's quite light and moisture wicking. That does the trick. This one clocks in at a relatively reasonable 80 Earth credits here in the UK. There is a black one, but why would you want that when you can have this Spectra coloured one? Thanks to Puma for furnishing me with this fashion favourite of raucous style. For the musical interlude today, I've gone back in time to 2014. Somewhere around here I've got the vinyl of this album from Jack White called Lazaretto. It was a special one, it had special features, but I need to find it. It's disappeared. I've been listening to this album on my runs this week. 2 of my favourite tracks are the title track Lazaretto and also Temporary Ground. I really like the fiddles in that one. There's some nice gritty sounds on this album. Doesn't sound too overproduced, but it still has some shine and polish to it. There's some fantastic drumming as well. Wonderful, precise sounds, but with some real flair as well. Loads of different genres mashed together on this album. I think it's one you should check out. If you haven't heard it before, go and have a listen to Jack White's Lazaretto. Right, it's time for me to rock and roll out of here, guys. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with me to the very end of today's video. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and also click the bell below for notifications of when I roll out those new videos for you. And it really helps us out here an awful lot if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you.